So guys, greetings from Houston, Texas. Mike coming at you from AT Astro, Area of Truth, Aspect, and Relationship Astrology. And we're going over a badass topic today. Well, it's a badass topic, but it's actually it's a more important topic. I like to clarify my opinion on a couple subjects. We're talking about karma and karmic relationships. And what you can do to figure out if a relationship is karmic. What is a karmic relationship? What it means to be in a karmic relationship. And for the most part, how to handle it. People talk about twin flames a lot. You'll hear a lot of people discuss, me and this particular person, we're twin flames, and we bring out the best in each other, and I swear we knew each other in a past life, and I really don't believe in the concept of twin flames. Usually when people do talk about twin flames, they'll, if you actually do the analysis of the synastry, the composite, all the, proper techniques, you'll see a shitload of Neptune. Neptune and a little bit of Pluto. Just thrown in there just to kind of make it even more intense. Karmic relationships are not twin flame relationships. They're not the same thing. They're, depending on your approach to spirituality and your personal opinion of karma, karma is a relationship where you are forced to come to terms with a part of yourself or a facet of yourself that you see there's something you did wrong or something you did right in a past life, and you're either getting to reap the benefits of that reward or you're having to work out past issues from a previous life that didn't get resolved in the past life. So you're working it out, it's a karmic lesson. Either you have to learn the lesson and move on through it in this lifetime, or you'll continue to repeat it over and over and over and over again in the next life. There's a couple ways to determine whether or not you have a karmic relationship. And then there's ways to actually try to define the nature of the karmic relationship. And that's where it gets really tricky, but it is possible to do. And if you are a talented astrologer or a very well-learned astrologer and you're very good at using your intuitive sense and using the right methods, you can start to get a grasp on what the nature of the karmic relationship was. So the first thing you want to do is look at the synastry. The synastry, obviously, synastry is when you take one chart and lay it on top of another, and then you watch how the planets are interacting with each other. And you're gauging the chemistry between the two people, what draws them together to begin with, and how they interact with each other on a day-to-day basis. And you can get a glimpse of a karmic connection through the synastry alone. What you will see is contacts from the nodes to angles or faster-moving personal planets. That's a big one. Like the Moon, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Venus. Nodal contacts to the angles are pretty important. Nodal contacts to the Sun are pretty important, going both ways. You generally want to see more of a north node. You want to see action, like conjunctions to the north node more than anything else. The south node is good. There's a feeling of familiarity, but at the same time, when you are in a relationship with somebody and there is a lot of south node contacts, conjunctions specifically, they are bringing back into focus things that you've already mastered and taken care of in a past life. So what's the point of going through something that you've already completed? I mean, there's a great feeling of comfort there, but it's not ultimately conducive to growth. North node contacts, it's what direction you need to be going towards. And it's usually due to some sort of skill that you didn't master in a past life. So this person's sort of like grabbing you by the hand and pulling you towards your karmic destiny in a way. And the North Node is by nature fairly obsessive. So most people that have really strong North and South Node contacts, there's a real sense of not wanting to let go of each other, and they don't really understand why, but it's usually pretty binding. Like most of my best friends that I've remained friends with compulsively for decades. There's like a lot of them have like one particular has the North Node conjunct my Sun, another one North Node conjunct my Moon, another one their Ascendant conjunct my North Node, their North Node conjunct my Midhaven. That's a pretty important one. And just through that alone, that can give you a little bit of insight into the nature of the relationship. Like for instance, one person's North Nodes conjunct the other person's Midhaven. The midhaven person is through their career pursuits or through their development into a fully functioning individual that makes an impact on the world around them, helps sort of drag the North Node person towards their destiny. But it also implies a familial connection from a past life, like y'all may have been related. But more analysis is needed before any, statement like that is made with certainty. Okay, so karmic planets are usually Pluto, Neptune, and Saturn. Those definitely provide more of the glue. Well, Neptune not as much, but Saturn and Pluto specifically, they provide a lot of glue between two people, and they have been implicated in karmic relationships. If you see a lot of really, really heavy Pluto or Saturn, that doesn't mean they're healthy. But, Saturn by nature rules karma. So if you see a lot of Saturn and a lot of Pluto going on, it's going to bind each other, the couple together in a way that forces them or encourages them more to live out karma or their karmic destiny through each other than you would see otherwise. When you go to the composite chart or the Davison chart, if you see the nodes contacting an angle or Saturn or Pluto or the sun, those are extremely significant, very significant. Having a personal planet like Venus or Mars or Mercury conjunct the node is still significant. There's definitely an effect, but I've noticed the slower moving planets, and unless there's a couple periods of time, like during, I think, like the late 50s and the early 60s, or some point in the 60s, the North Node was conjunct Pluto for a while at one of those points, and then the North Node was conjunct Neptune. So if you get two people that are born right around the same time during those periods, it's going to show up in the composite chart as well. So you got to kind of take that into account, but either way, it's still significant. You see a lot of Saturn in the composite chart. That can be potentially very karmic. There's also certain asteroids to look for in the synastry and in the composite, and that would be asteroid karma. That's a really important one to see, and that can give you a little bit of insight into, and you're looking for conjunctions mostly, but that can give you a little bit of insight into the type of karmic relationship that we have, involved with each other. Also, this is a technique that I've used quite a bit that people don't talk about a lot, and this is not pertaining specifically to the nature of a karmic relationship, but it can give you a lot of a glimpse into the type of person you were in your past life. There's something called a Draconic Chart. A Draconic Chart is, you take your natal chart and you take the North Node and you shift it all the way to 0 degrees Aries, and then all the planets move with the North Node in step. So it'll take, all the planets and the aspects will remain in step with each other. They'll remain in the same spot, but they'll be in different signs. And then the North Node will be at 0 degrees Aries, because apparently, the Draconic Chart is more of like a glimpse of who you really are, like who you are deep down under the skin, like your karmic baggage. If you can take the Draconic Chart and then do a synastry between the Draconic and your natal chart, you can sort of get a glimpse of who you were in a past life and how it relates to what you're dealing with in this life. It's a very complex technique, and I will do a video on that eventually. I'll get around to it at some point, but it can give you, like, for me, I was an entitled little brat. Like, I had everything just handed to me. Like, I've already done all the looking. I was coddled. I was just very scared all the time. That's honestly who I was. More than likely a man. I was probably very scared. I was probably taken care of by my family and didn't really have to experience a whole lot of, just very, I don't know, kind of like a whiny little rich bastard. And through my carelessness, probably hurt quite a few people. So I'm dealing with a lot of that in this life. So I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, karmic relationships are not meant to be avoided, but they're not necessarily pleasant. You're working out past issues. You're working out issues that are buried deep down in your subconscious that you're bringing over from a previous life. So it's something that's not meant to be avoided. It's meant to be lived through. At the same time, though, karmic relationships and abusive relationships definitely can go hand in hand. So when it comes time to, walk away, You just need to walk away understanding that you learned what you needed to learn from the relationship, because every relationship at the end of the day is a learning experience. Sometimes the experience is a little bit more traumatic than others, but nonetheless, it's all an opportunity for growth. So I hope this was helpful. I do offer consultations. I read all types of charts. I love relationship astrology. I love predictive astrology. I'd be more than happy to offer my services to anybody in need. I also have a podcast with the beautiful Brittany Robinson. It's available on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Podbean and Spotify. So feel free to check that out. It's Outrage Astrology. And hit that subscribe button, like my channel, and until next time, guys.